There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the host for the leadership platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.
You see, the only thing you got to worry about tomorrow is making sure that you make today count. This is your day to learn how to change your world.
I need you to focus on why you were born.
Let's not lose what made us, but let's grip the future and let's become the best version for next year.
Most success is when a person develops ordinary qualities to an extraordinary degree through the application of hard, sustained work.
Now, for some people, this is not easy, but there is no good reason for not doing it.
You and I were created to make a difference.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. We are excited this evening because we know you are spending part of your time with us, and we are very, very grateful. It is always our pleasure at the Center for Transformational Leadership and on the Leadership Platform to come your way Saturday evening to share leadership lessons, to share thoughts, to bring you great leaders whose life can be an inspiration to all of us. So we want to thank you for sparing the time with us, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the CEO for the Center for Transformational Leadership in Africa, and I want to warmly welcome you. I want to thank my team, Abigail, Kofi, Sarah, and Hawa, and the rest who are all behind the scenes, working hard every day to bring you the Leadership Platform for free. And as we encourage you every time on this platform, we pray that the lessons you learn, you take them with you, apply them to your life, and transform the corner where you are right now. Our objective is to be able to expand leadership influence across the world. So go ahead, introduce yourself to us. Let us know where you are calling from, because we're going to have a very exciting discussion this evening. And so we will be very, very happy to introduce you to the world. We know so many of you join and you don't introduce yourself, but it is our pleasure to announce you to the world. So go ahead and tell us where you are coming from. And let's see, this whole month, we are focusing on bringing you extraordinary leadership stories, stories that will inspire you. We know that there are so many negative stories, and people feed us every day with negative stories. Our view is that if you focus on the negative, then you become negative. But if we can bring you positive stories, great stories, and if you focus your mind on great stories, then you can also become great thereby. So we encourage you. We also encourage you to go to go to our website. But more importantly, Live to Lead is an amazing experience, leadership experience, personal growth experience. And this year we have really great speakers coming. Go to our website and check out both the international and the local speakers that are coming this year. Those of you who work in organizations, talk to your CEOs, talk to your HR, make sure your corporate executives, the ESCO guys, are all around the table at Live to Lead on October 7th. It's going to be a very rich experience. All right, this evening, I am not going to do my usual introduction of my guest, because we are going to talk to him, we are going to discuss him, and he is going to tell us all about himself. So I'm not going to try anything, all right? He's going to tell us all about himself. This evening, like last week, is going to be very conversational. We are going to engage our guest this evening. Our guest has spoken to us recently. All I can say is that he's currently the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, and he's also the provost of Heritage Christian University. And as you will see in his profile, and we will go through some of it a bit as we go on, he has a wide experience and qualifications, and he's doing so many great things and empowering people across the world. So on that note, I want to invite Professor Williams Atuilik to join us on the leadership platform for the second time recently. Prof, you are very welcome to the leadership platform once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayim. It's my pleasure to be on the platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I hope all of you can hear Prof clearly. All right. So, Prof, this evening we just want to have a kind of a fire chat with you. We want to sit under your feet and learn from you, because we can see all the things that you are doing. So tell us, as at now, where are you and what are you doing currently as we speak?
Okay, thank you very much. As we speak, I'm the provost of Heritage Christian College, which is a private tertiary university at Amasaman. But I run a law firm with some other colleagues, and an accounting firm with other colleagues as well. And I teach a couple of universities, the graduate level, the University of Ghana Business School, Heritage Christian College, and a couple of others. I do consultancy for a number of the development agencies on short-term consultancy basis. And I have the pleasure of serving a couple of boards. That's how I spend my time as far as work is
We'll come to all that, Prof. We'll come to all that very engaging assignments you're doing. Yesterday in the night when I called you to check up on you, whether you are coming, you told me you just landed from Malawi and you were on your way to Koforidia. I mean, how does that work? You land in Accra and you're going to Koforidia. Please just tell us a bit about what was it? What was taking you away from Malawi to Koforidia?
Well, I attended the African Bar Conference in Lilongwe, Malawi, and I had an assignment to perform for the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Koforidia. So when I came, I was running late, so I had to just proceed, to Koforidua. But I've done this a number of times in my life where I just transition to Accra and straight away for another assignment without going home. I've done this for quite some time. I recall there was once when I was doing my PhD, I had to travel to the US a number of times, and I was doing some work in Liberia, some work in Sierra Leone. A couple of times I'll come to Accra. Unfortunately, I can't go home, and I will catch a flight to the US. And so I've done a couple of these a number of times.
So you can't like that. You didn't even go home to see your family. You had to go to Koforidua.
That was how I had planned it, because and so it's quite usual. There was nothing too strange about it. But
right.
it's stressful.
We'll come and talk about how Madam will take all this later on. But now we will want to start from the basics. Prof, let's go back, way back. Tell us about your childhood. Where were you born? And who were your parents? What did they do?
All right. Thank you very much. I was born in Accra to my parents, John Atuilik and then Anams Badek Atuilik. So I was born in Accra. Apparently at Kolebu, but we lived at Sukura. My parents lived there all my life until recently. I had to facilitate their resettlement around Agape area. So I was born at Sukura to John and Anams Badek. So that's where I was born.
Okay. And when you were born to how many children? How many were you at that time?
Well, of my parents' children. So, but as we, grew, as at now, I have 10 other siblings. So we are 11. My father had 2 wives. My mother had 7 children, and my stepmother had 4 children. So altogether, 11, and I'm the first.
Good. And so how was life in Sukura when you were growing up?
Very, very interesting. When I was growing up, apparently my parents never went to school. Both mom and dad, they never went to school. And so they were doing, my father was a jack of all trade. He was a tailor, he did, some sewing. He was a watchman. He was a laborer. He was a pantry man. He did a lot of things at the same time. Perhaps I picked those skills, observing him, manipulate too many things at the same time. My mother was a petty trader, selling primarily roasted granules and banana and things like that. So financially, it was quite tough. Okay, so and my father was a very kind person, always receiving plenty guests from my village. I come from the Upper East region, from BC specifically. And as I was growing up, many people who came from the north, from our area, they will first stop with my father. So growing up, we had lots of people in my father's home, which was a chamber and a hall, where my stepmom had her bed and my mother had her bed. And then many of us children and the guests, will struggle for space anywhere we could find. And, it wasn't a very best of situation. So school was not my thing. At a very early age, I was very active in the community. At age 6, 7, 8, I was very active in the community. I started school very late also. At age.
When you say you were very active in the community, what does that mean?
I followed a lot of the young guys, many who were older than me, to roaming around, playing football, gutter football, chasing Bela, doing all the things that young men. And Sukura is more like a slum at the time, and there's a ghetto with a lot of boys doing all kinds of things. And I was quite active playing
So
football.
you're saying that at 8 you were not going to school?
No. I went to school at the age of 8. I was after age. And we were playing football in the compound where a private school teacher, they were recruiting students or pupils into their schools, came around and why are we not going to school? And my father, who was by his tailoring machine sewing, told them that we are bad boys. They should catch us and take us to school. That was supposed to be some kind of
It was supposed to
punishment,
be punishment.
if you like. And so I was taken to that private preparatory school. When they took me, I was very old, so I didn't go to nursery, those kinds. It just took me to class 1 straight, and I was bigger than most of the children and I met there. So I initially was not happy. I'll put on my uniform and go and take it off somewhere and start playing football. And when I know school had closed, then I will wear it and come back. Yeah, for some time. My parents, they didn't know this, but I was very troublesome, following the bad boys, moving around and doing petty stealing, oranges, coconut. I used to climb the coconuts in the area, and occasionally my father will spot me and give me a very, very nice beating and warn me never ever to do those kinds of things. It was quite fun. We're just having fun as young children. Yeah. But my father discovered that I was going wayward, following the big boys. And they had left my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather in the north by themselves. And so they felt that they should take me there so that I could be tamed and be a bit submissive, and then also to learn, to support them in the village. And one thing that got me a little bit interested in school, the madam, those who owned the school where they took me, they started inviting me home, and then they give me some meals, and that got me a little bit interested.
That was in Sukura, right?
In Sukura. They lived right in Sukura. And then occasionally I'll go and help them, and then they'll get some meals, and then we will eat. But that notwithstanding, I still used to follow my friends to do all that until they took me, to the north. And I was around.
You knew all the corners in Accra.
I do. So from Zongo Junction, Sukura, Dansoman, Mamprobi, Choko, Kaneshi, those areas. At that age, that's where we used to, roam around. And we were just basically walking. So I still do know those areas very, very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Daddy decided he would take you to the north. At what age was that?
That was about 10. I was 10 years.
And you were then maybe in class 2, 3?
I was in class 2, actually, yes.
Okay. So so they took you to the north, and the purpose was to do what? To help correct you?
The purpose was... The purpose basically was to help me, move away from bad influence, and to punish me for being very naughty, and also to give me the opportunity to support my grandparents who needed somebody to live with them because they didn't have anybody with them. But that's one of the, I always say that is one of the interesting and very helpful decision my parents took. I believe if I remained in Sukura, I still know some of my colleagues that I was growing up with who were close to me. I still, occasionally, go around them. And unfortunately, that influence didn't really help. And so it's one of the brilliant decisions that my father had to take about me.
Yes, a lesson in parenting there, right?
Yeah.
Great. So what were grandparents doing in the north that you were going to help them?
Peasant farmers. My grandfather was a farmer, and had a family cattle and sheep and my grandmother would support her, and she used to sell in the market. So I basically went to help them. In the north, in the rainy season, everybody is busy in the farms, and in the dry season, not much work to do. So basically, I would go to school. I was supposed to go to school, but it's not just me. Many of us, we go to school seriously in the dry season, because in the rainy season, most of our parents will need us to help them on the farms. Besides, at the time I was in school, we didn't have good structures in the school. So in the rainy season, most of the time when it's raining, there's no space to accommodate us. So school was, very active in the dry season, not so active in the rainy season. But I did the best I could with my grandparents. My grandfather really, many of the strengths I have today, I think I would credit it to my grandfather. A serious disciplinarian. You would wake up by 5. You have to be on the farms latest by 6. And if he is not tired, you are not supposed to be tired. And he was an adult. And I was 10, 11, 12, 13, young, and you have to work. He will give you food to eat as much as you want, but you have to earn it by working hard. It all felt like punishment, but on hindsight, I think resilience, I built, hard work, good, stamina from that long period of work without resting. And you are using a hoe and a cutlass. Hoe, you bend and be weeding, and your waist will be your back will be very hurting. And he will say, no, don't get up until you see me up. You can't get up. It's all built stamina, and then in the rainy season, occasionally we will help take care of the family cattle and sheep to take them to graze. And so I learned hard work. I learned hard work. And my grandmom, I'm very fond of her. She really liked me. And my grandfather would say, you are spoiling this boy. You have to allow him to work. I got used to staying there. And then my teachers at the primary school, anytime I was not in school, they'll come looking for me. For some reason, they felt that I was doing well academically, although that was not really my interest. And so they used to say all nice things about me, and that got me interested. Okay, so people say I can do well. So let me pay attention, particularly when I got to class 4. When I got to class 4, I had a particular teacher who took special interest in me. He will go and tell my father that when we close, he wants me to be with him. So if he doesn't see me, he shouldn't worry. And he will give me some assignment. I'll sometimes go and help him in his farm. And he kept telling me that I have potential to do well, and so I should take learning seriously. That started changing my mind to want to be, interested in academia or in education until, I finished primary 6. When I finished primary 6, my grandfather was happy. I could now help him. I was big. I was a big boy. And so to go to that, I was around 12, 13. To go to junior high school was a bit of a challenge. He didn't want it. At that stage, I was big enough in the family as a boy to be the one to be in charge of the cattle. And also to help him more effectively on the farm. So going to junior high school, we didn't have a junior high school in my village. The next junior high school was about 18 kilometers away.
Sure.
Yeah, so my class 4 teacher conspired with my grandmother to take me to the boarding school without the permission of my grandfather, and his point was, I need to help them and I need to learn how to be responsible to farm. Because in his, many of the people who had gone to school were not showing promise in the village. And so they wanted to be a responsible young man. So I should stay home and help. But after my grandmother and that teacher sent me, then they spoke to him and he gave up. And at junior high school, what I used to do was that I had a friend whose auntie was in Togo. Actually, between Togo and Burkina Faso, when you get to Boko, you get to Sankasi. Sankasi is actually in Togo, and nearby is another town in Burkina Faso. And she lived in Burkina Faso, but had some shops in Togo. So we used to go and help bake bread every vacation. For the 3 years I was in junior high school, every vacation we go and bake the bread and sell the bread. So we would distribute it to some towns in Togo and in Burkina Faso. And then to make money ourselves, me and my friend, we will sell the bread at the border, to pay. We'll just sell the cars crossing over. It was a very lucrative business. I did that every vacation for the 3 years. And anytime we got back to school, we had new dresses, new, everything. But academics too wasn't bad until we finished junior high school.
So this your P4 teacher who took you to school, was he going to be responsible to pay your fees?
No, not at all. In fact, what he did was to persuade my father through a scheme to allow me to go, because my father had said that no, I was not going to go. So all my mates had gone to school and I was the only one left. And my grandmother agreed with the teacher, but my grandfather will say, no, I should wait. I will not go. But when he sent, later my grandfather helped to pay a bit of my fees. Until I started this bread business, I never came home to ask for money. So from junior high class, from later second term in Form 2, when I go home, I will only ask for food stuff, but things to buy books, to buy clothing, and to take care of myself, I did all of that by myself, and it was really quite lucrative. The bread business was really very good. I learned business skills right from that time.
Wow. Yeah. This is an interesting story, and just here, picking the contribution of your father working so hard differently, the decision to take you to the north, grandfather's discipline and hard work that imbibed, your teacher's intervention. And for those of us, you never know the help you can give and the contribution you can give to one person. Look at what Willie is doing today. And it's because one teacher decided that I want to take the responsibility, persuade grandparents, take him against their will to go to school. We want to thank all those people for their contribution. So you finished junior secondary school, and what happened?
Well, so again, now that was supposed to be the end. I had to make a choice, either to stay in the village or to wait. At the time, we were all aspiring to go to school. After a while, I decided that, look, if I stay in the village, the conditions was going to be quite challenging. So I decided to come to Accra. And the journey from home to Accra, but those days, it used to take 3 days to travel from, the Upper East to come to Accra. The road was...
So today you fly by 30 minutes you are here.
45 minutes you are there. 3 days without bathing, you can imagine. Wow. And I that journey was really very interesting. I joined the vehicles that sell cows.
Oh.
Yeah. So I arranged with them that, look, when you are going, I'll go with you. So you sit at the top. When you are getting to tree, you just be dodging the trees. Yeah, the car would get spoiled on the way, But I came to Accra, and when I came, I was supposed to, go to school. My father did try a couple of places to get me, admission. I remember we went to Wesley Grammar, Laboni, Accra High. But basically, the problem was that my father didn't really know what to do, and we didn't know people. We didn't know what to do. Apparently, just lack of knowledge and proper guidance. I remember.
But your results were good?
My results were good. And school had started. People had gone to school. And my results were good. But it was just a basic lack of knowledge and proper guidance. We went to Laboni, stood at the... there are plenty of people. We didn't even talk to anybody. My father said, look, let's go home. This thing... look at me. I'm here. I'm surviving. You too, you can survive. So I think it was just basically lack of what to do, knowledge of what to do. So for that brief moment, I decided to help my grandmother, my mother, who was a petty trader. And I used to follow my father a lot. When he's going for gardening, I'll follow him and I'll help him do the clearing. Occasionally, I'll follow my mother who go around selling. So I took to selling things, all kinds of things, from kerosene to sugar cane to granules and roasted on the streets. You go around selling those kinds of things. And occasionally I will sit at the Bedin Powell, where it was a station, a lorry park, overlooking the Bank of Ghana. And I will say to myself that, wow, these guys are lucky they are working there. If I had the opportunity to work in that place, but I will sit there and occasionally go around, sell, and come back to my mom. And so on one occasion, I was selling the granules, and I was just going down the road from the Bending Powell all down to Asalam down, beyond the psychiatric hospital. And I saw a school there. It was a private school. And the people were so nicely dressed in white shirts and green shorts. And it was quite fascinating. I saw a lot of young people. And I said to myself, wow, what about if I go to this school? So I asked, and they said it's a secretariat school, and that there are 2 sessions, morning and afternoon sessions. And I told myself, what if I join the afternoon session so I can do my business? I can sell in the morning and then go to school in the afternoon from 1:30 to 5:30. It became a very good idea. So as I stood there, I saw a young person, some young man come in. I approached him and said, Uncle, would you mind take me to the headmaster of this school? Just tell them that I'm your nephew and you want admission for me, and leave the rest for me. I'll handle the rest. He obliged. Without asking me any question, he took me to the headmaster. They said it was a private commercial school. They were already in need for.
Is it Snaps? What is the name of the school?
That's Snaps College. Snaps College.
Yeah, in Asala.
Snaps College of Accountancy and Secretaryship. And so I went, and they gave me some, tests to do. And that man left. How I wish I knew where that. I don't know. I don't have any.
It was an angel God brought to you.
I believe so. That was a Friday. So they gave me the admission and the prospectus. They were left with about 3 or so weeks to write their first semester exams, because that was very late. So they said I could come to school on Monday. And so I was very excited. I went back to my mom. We went home. And, we used to carry things from Sukura through Mamprobi to Kolebu, all the way to Choco. And then she would sit. And we will walk back. You are not taking car. You can imagine every day that was the routine. No matter how brief that was quite a lot of work. I went to tell my father that I've got admission to go to school. He was also excited. I said, okay, that's nice. What they were struggling to do is got me a school. So now the point was I had to get my uniform. And this is I remember this with nostalgia. I went inside the bedroom, and I saw that on my mom's bed was a green bed sheet that had been used for a long time. So I brought it out to my father, who was already a tailor. I said, look, I need 2 pair of shorts from this, bed sheet.
Wow.
And he obliged. That's where I got my first 2 pair of shorts, green. It was deep green. It was not exactly the color, but it could. It
was green. Green is green.
Green is green. And then the Saturday I went to Katamantu and got myself 2, white shirts, from the Fos. Yeah. So on Monday, very excited in the morning, I went with my mom, through this thing to the market, and then I'll go and change at the Ghana Library Board, and wear the distance and just walk down in the afternoon. And then in the evening, I will go to church. Those days, I never miss church in the evening. And then I will join the minister at church at the time through to Zongo Junction, and I'll walk home. The following morning, I'll leave my things with my mom. That's how I went through. But in the first year, toward the end of my second year, I wrote exams RSA stage 1. This year, the third year, I did RSA stage 2 and O level and pass. But during all this period, I used to do what I just described. And when I passed the O level, I made a simple announcement at church that I want to thank God for helping me pass my exams. And the result was very good. 1 with a 6. The 6 was health science, and I was studying accountancy.
Wow.
And one police officer who was a member of the church, after church, congratulated me and said he needed me to teach his kids at home. That was a life-changing moment for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that took me off the street. I started teaching those young kids at his home. And then in 3 months, I had started to teach at 3 different centers.
Wow.
And the number of children, increased. That I stopped, selling on the street and started doing this teaching to pay my fees and the increasing number of siblings that, kept coming. But one interesting story, when I was in the commercial school, I actually went to the secretariat class where they did shorthand, typing, and all those things.
Yeah.
And then the accounting teacher again said, no, that was not my class. I should go to the accountancy class. I said no. He practically took me and canceled my name from the secretariat class to the accountancy class. Another providential, it's just something that, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to learn typing and French because of my days in Togo, Burkina Faso.
Togo and Burkina Faso.
I was fascinated by the small French, all of which I have since forgotten anyway. But my accounting teacher said, no, you don't understand what you are doing. So he conspired with the headmaster, and they forcibly took me to the accountancy class. I only obliged because I was the only boy in the secretariat class, and they were always laughing at me. And I was doing well. I would take all the prizes, and the guys in the accountancy class would make fun of me.
You are among the girls. You are beating girls, and you think you are.
You are happy. If you think come to the accountancy class. That was one of the reasons why reluctantly I just obliged the accounting teacher. So, and a move which, on hindsight, I thank God so much for.
Yeah. Good. Well, this is good. I mean, we are spending time on this because I think that, these backstories are very good for all of us, because today, if you Google William Atuilik, you will not find these stories there. All you will find is this chartered accountant, that lawyer, chartered economist, and all those things. But nobody knows behind the scenes all this that you've gone through. And this, for me, is the message that we want people to understand, that from all this background, God is able with your partnership with him to be able to bring you to this point. So
Absolutely.
Now you finish your accountancy, O levels and A levels, and how did you then proceed to university and so on?
Well, so I had the opportunity to work after national service at KNUST.
That is, you did sixth form or?
No. So at Snaps College, I spent 4 years there.
Okay.
And in the 4 years, I had written RSA stages 1, 2, 3, and GCE O level.
Okay.
And I attempted the A level. I passed. I had the A, B, D, D, but I didn't like that result.
Okay.
So after national service, when I got the opportunity to work, I rewrote the A levels.
All right.
And this time, I as a private candidate, I just went to private classes, and that's another story. I used to work from Aduase, from KNUST to Boys behind Kumasi Technical University on a daily basis to attend classes in order to prepare for the A level. And I passed with 3 A's and a B. It was quite another very exciting moment.
Wow.
After which I had the School of Administration then, which was very, very, very competitive. And so
Yes.
I was able to
You
enroll
are
to
lucky.
study.
I missed the School of Administration by 1 point.
Yeah, so I
Congratulations.
had 3 A's and a B. So there was no option than to get the admission at the School of Administration then. And so for 3 years whilst at the School of Administration, I combined it with the ICAG exams, and I was lucky to
Wow.
qualify the ICA exams before completing, and so that really changed my life.
So you
completely.
finished your ICA before completing the university?
Yes, whilst I was at the university, yes.
Wow.
And that's a whole nother story. I was juggling between the School of Admin, the ICA, and doing private work. I was working for different companies. Occasionally, some of it, some bad day, go and do some work, to get some money. Some of it to go and do some bookkeeping. So I had been used to doing too many things at the same time.
And all this you were financing by yourself?
I was taking care of I was taking care of myself. I was taking care of my siblings, and I was taking care occasionally of my parents. I was fortunate to have steady leave from KNUST, but I was accounts clerk when I got that one. The pay was really nothing to write home about. It was very, very big. Yeah? I think that significantly I supported my siblings and myself from much of the part-time work that I did until I finished university and I was chartered. Then life started, smiling.
So now you've done your ICA, you finished your university. So how did all these other professional qualifications come? Briefly, now the lawyer, chartered economist, chartered banker, chartered economic analyst, and all that.
So when I finished later and I was a chartered accountant, I decided, in the background, I always wanted to be a lawyer. So most of the professional programs, I combined them, and I did all of them whilst I was working. Since I started going to school, I would say that I have always been working. I've never, work has been part of me from childhood. I haven't had a time I say I'm in school and all I'm doing is school. No,
in school.
I have always worked all the time for the rest of my life till now. I've always been working while schooling. So I'll take a couple of these professional programs at the same time and working and doing something. And so I added them, resigned from KNUST and came to law school. Whilst I was law school, I was doing the banking, law faculty, I was doing the banking. When I went to law school, I combined with a few other professional business. When I finished the law school, I decided to do a master's program at Legon and at Jimpa. So I combined 2 masters at the same time.
You're doing 2 masters, one at the Jimpa and one at Legon.
Exactly. I started them actually on the same day. And so I just decided to combine a number of things at the same time and working at the same time. It's all part of, the beginnings. The beginnings were quite, solid. And so I, by God's grace, I have a bit of stamina. I can do, my colleagues will say, don't you ever get tired?
Yes, and so you can see that now.
Yeah.
You are doing so many things. You're a consultant, you're a lecturer, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're this. Tell us a bit, how do you combine all these things now at the same time?
It's all about just being focused. It's not easy, I must admit. It comes with a lot of sacrifice. You have to sacrifice a lot of pleasure. You have to sacrifice. You must know what you want and just go for it. So there are a number of things that I would desire to do, but I'm unable to do. Regrettably, but that's what it is. You can't eat your cake and still have it. So you have to make a choice. There are so many things that you can do with your 24 hours. You have to make a choice where you want to prioritize. I happen to prioritize issues with my work and with my religion. And so you just have to make a choice. And you can't waste time. So at any point in time, you must be doing something. So you can't you can't waste time.
Okay, so I'm picking. I mean, so what you are saying is that I'm picking a few things and help me, because I don't want us to miss these lessons. Because if you're doing all these 1,001 things, you are saying that you would have to sacrifice. So you're a lot of sacrifice into it. But as part of the sacrifice also, you are saying you have to make trade-off. You have to
Absolutely.
trade off some and then you
Absolutely.
also have to prioritize, you say.
Absolutely.
And you
Yeah.
also talk about managing your time because you have only 24 hours.
Yeah.
Tell us more some of the other principles that have also help you.
Well,
to this
I
point.
think the first thing I will say that has been very helpful to me is being very enthusiastic and desiring change. That's the first thing I will say. I recall I went with my father to a certain place for him to do some gardening, and he was thirsty. He needed water, and then the daughter of one of the young girls, from the house, treated him so shabbily. And for that day, I said, these people are treating us this way because my father didn't have educational, opportunities, and so he can't work in a decent place to earn this thing. So I said, no, it really got me very, very hard. And I said, I need to do whatever I can to change my circumstances so I'll not be in this situation. And that desire got me very enthusiastic. I had looked at myself and said, the only way I can break through this one is through education, because there was no money in the family. So very enthusiastic for change of your circumstances. That's a very, very important principle. That
if you don't decide that I want to make a difference, I want to change my life,
you can't get it
start.
Exactly. And believing that you can get it done. There were, till now, there are a number of times things get very tough and you are just wondering, how is this going to be possible? Many of the programs that I did, I had to pay for them myself. And I didn't have the money. Some people think that you must have all the money, most of the time I didn't have the money, but I somehow I believe that I will be able to do it. And I'll start and be taking little steps. And sometimes I hit the roadblock and it's like, this is not going to be possible. And I'll tell myself that no, there must be a way. And that belief, was very, very helpful in getting me, to and being very curious. I have always been very curious, trying to understand why is it that somebody is doing well and others are not doing well. So curiosity was one of the principles that helped me a lot. And then having a plan. Very young, very early in my life, particularly at church, we had a program. It was a fasting and prayer program that culminated in having a plan. That was a very useful moment for me. This one, I was in Snaps College, very early. It was at that point, I still have that plan with me. I had written down, I want to be a professor of accounting. I want to be.
This was what year? How old were?
This was in 1987. Yes, 1987.
Okay.
Or at 87 or 88. I can check the date. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wrote all the and we were advised to divide our life into different departments: spiritual life, professional life, academic life, business, and to write down long-term goals for the 10 years, 20 years, some very big things. And I wrote them down. And
so what did you write? I mean, I want you to share. At that time,
I had decided that I wanted to be a professor. From the business side, I want to be a professor of accounting. I wanted to have 3 PhDs. I wanted to I wrote a lot of the things that I have done. A lot of them. I wanted to be a chartered accountant, a lawyer. I had written most of those things, and it sounded like this is wishful thinking. And timelines were put to each of them, but taking steps,
Yes.
and repeatedly planning this every year and taking little steps, and these steps taking them very seriously, and then being very disciplined to occasionally I'll change some of them. There were certain schools I had written down that I must attend this university, very reputable universities. As time went on, I realized that some of the places I wanted to go, it would be very difficult to go. So I had to drop some of those ones. But being very disciplined was one of them, and determined. Occasionally there were issues, but I would say, no, I think I need to still remain. I can't give up. So I failed several times on some of the things that I had planned to do, but I would say, no, I won't give up. I can still do it. And being very determined, and, coming back even when you're having difficulty was one of the things that really helped me. And I actually depended on a lot of people. So a very humble spirit. You need to understand that anytime I needed help, I couldn't get it from people in the family because they were very caring people, really very caring people in the family, wanting the best for you, but they can't help. They just can't help. And so I needed to humble myself anywhere I was, and to allow myself to be supported and helped by people who had the opportunity to be able to help and also show respect.
Today, I just want you to summarize for it. How many academic qualifications, how many first degrees do you have? How many second degrees? How many doctorate degrees? Professional qualifications. I just want you to summarize it so that we can all see the trajectory. Where are you?
Well, so by the grace of God, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. A Bachelor of Business Administration Accounting and a Bachelor of Laws degree. Okay. And I have 3 master's degrees, a Master of Science in Finance, a Master of Science in Public Financial Management, and a Master of Arts in Economic Policy Management. And I have a PhD. I have 2 PhDs in progress. I've put one on hold, and I'm processing to complete one before I think about the one that I have put on hold. And I have a number of professional qualifications in law, accounting, in accounting on different emphasis, public finance, ICAG, and 2 in economics, and 1 in banking. And all of these came as a result of the consultancy that I do. I do a lot of consultancy. I've been privileged to do consultancy for the World Bank, for the African Development Bank, for many of the development agencies, advising ministries of finance in the sub-region. And as I did all of those, I felt to deepen my knowledge and understanding in some of the things that I dealt with, so I could do it with competence, with proper understanding. Yeah. And in my own way, I felt that the discipline of going through a qualification, a structured program, was one of the best way of getting me that knowledge. And that's how come I had to do all of these things. So, and I give God glory, because if I look back to the days I used to go, with my friends to take care of the cattle in the bush, and the days we used to, chase Bela and, play football. By the way, one of the things I regret is not taking football seriously, because I was.
Maybe you would have been richer than now.
I was exceptionally talented in my area in Sukura. At my age, that they never went to play area, match without calling me. Wherever I was, they would look for me, But now, when I stand in front of some of my students and people, it looks as if I have never even thrown my leg on football before.
Wow. Yeah. Really, thank you so much. I have a few more questions, but I know others may have questions. We have a few more minutes. I know you've written a lot of articles, you've written a book, and so on. We'll come to that. Humility. All right. So, the last minute, will you just give us your closing remarks, concluding remarks?
I think my younger brother Emmanuel has just summed it up for me.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, each one of us is responsible for ourselves, first and foremost. You are responsible for yourself. Your parents, if they help you, thank God. If they have what it takes to help you, appreciate them. If they don't sit and complain. Everybody around you, it's a blessing if they can help you. If they cannot, you have no excuse. Help yourself. Even when it's tough, difficult, you still have responsibility for yourself. So keep moving. And the final thing I'll say, don't take little steps for granted. All the plenty of academic qualifications that you see, the first step is pick the application form. As if you are joking. Before you realize that degree is done, pick the application form. So it's the first step. Take the step. When you have a plan and you don't act, it's waste of time. So, and when you are acting without a plan, it's very haphazard and it's completely chaotic. So plan, but by all means, act on your plans. And as you act, if you find that it's not working, be flexible to always, readjust and be realistic. So that's what I would say. And don't leave out the fact that you need people and God. God works through people. So you need God, and the people God will bring your way. So show them respect and be humble, and the sky will be the beginning for you.
Wow. Thank you so very much, people. This has been a great evening. I have learned a lot of lessons, and I believe all of us have been inspired. We'll keep telling the leadership stories. Next week, we have another story. This is going to be a gentleman from Zambia, and his story of transformational leadership will be interesting for all of you who want to transform your organization, churches, company, life, and so on. So I want you to make a date with us for next week. But on this, I want to thank Willie so much for his in Koforidia doing still some work from Malawi through the night to Koforidia. He's still working and he has time for us. So Willie, thank you so much. God bless you, and all the impact and the legacy you are making all across the world. May that be replicated. May people learn and may people be influenced. And for all of you who attended this evening, we don't take your presence for granted. We want to thank you for joining us. And next week, let us also make the date. And by all means, tomorrow, let's go to church and thank God for our lives. God bless you and have a very good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you so much. All right.
Nobody ever thought their way to success. Nobody ever hoped their way to success. Nobody ever wrote goals on a planner to success. They acted. Action is what attracts. It's the action. It's the movement. Every person has a change the world speech inside of them. It's inside of you. Every one of you have a message. Every one of you have a dream. And my hope is that today you'll begin to express that dream better than you ever have, because people need to hear your story. People need to see your vision. And when you learn to communicate, you pass it on to others, and you help so many people make a difference in the world. So let your dream come out and learn how to communicate it with excellence. Thank you very much. My name is John. I'm your friend. Thank you.